green suit about. What can we talk about with the upcoming Maul ShadowLord? And what kind of sounds can we talk about from the upcoming Maul ShadowLord?
It does have some space.
Space
is in there.
Space.
Animated.
Maul.
Animated.
I think I heard Maul might be in it.
Maul might.
Is that? Wait,
are you allowed to say
are we allowed to say that? Yeah, Maul's in it.
Okay.
There's
No,
a
I-
Zabrak.
Is he still red?
That's we're getting in a.
Not allowed to discuss.
Can't discuss color.
Color
I don't see
temperatures and no. Here's the thing. I can actually say quite a bit. I want to start with talking about the team because we have Brad Rao, who's the showrunner of Bad Batch.
Yes.
And that guy has a very clear vision for what makes this show special, and I've loved working with him. Extraordinary guy. Matt Miknovitz, who's been writing for us since the Clone Wars, is our head writer. So, one of us will, hey, what if this happens? And he goes, no, Sam, Clone Wars Season 3, Episode 14, we did this thing where, and he just like blows my mind with some bit of Star Wars. He's like, but what we can do is we can do this, so let's do that. Or I'd throw out a line of dialogue and he'd make it good and then throw it back to me. Incredible writer, and the writing team is amazing. And then we have Athena Portillo, who's like the producer who just will not allow you to fail, which is amazing. She's just, that's what you want. You see the difference on the screen in terms of how she's protected us, how she's gotten us all to work together, and how many, speaking of saving Star Wars, how many creative problem-solving situations she's been in where she's like, okay, we got a problem, we're gonna do this. So she's like our leader. And then we have Dave up top, Dave Filoni, overseeing and sometimes swooping down and jumping into the editing room and doing a bunch of stuff and then swooping away and then swooping back. And then of course we have the Kiners, Kevin Kiner and his family doing it amazing. But what I can tell you about the show is that it takes place shortly after the end of the Clone Wars. So this is the very beginning of the Empire. And Maul, he was helping to make the Empire for a while until he quit working for Palpatine. He quit. It was, you know what I mean? He was like, and he was hanging out on a garbage planet after that. And then other things happened, but basically this guy is looking around going, is this what we had in mind? Because I didn't think it was going to be this. I thought it was going to be something different, because Maul comes from a land of magic and color and knights and dragons, and now all of that is dead, and the magic and the color is being sucked out of the galaxy by this mechanical, maniacal empire. And Maul is going like, what happened to the Jedi Knights? And he's really reassessing almost everything about his life in the beginning of this story, and he perhaps has some wisdom to pass on to the next generation, because what's a master without an apprentice? So
Easy. The lawyer.
Oh God, no.
No one recorded this.
Oh God,
Of course, he's talking about Jabba the Hutt in season 2 of
I'm talking about Rebels. Right? No problem. No, but what's fun is that there are real differences in Maul's character between Clone Wars and Rebels, and I played him very differently between the two. And so that necessitates a lot of questions, like, wait, when did he start talking like this? Or when did he start figuring this out? Now this Maul is a lot closer to the Clone Wars Maul, but this is a situation where, because we're doing a show that has Maul in the title, it allows us to do things that we couldn't do before. Like there were a few things that I pitched to Dave in Clone Wars, and I'm like, what if this? And Dave's like, yeah, no, Sam, no. Oh God, no, Sam. No, but he would say, listen, we can't do that because we're seeing this through Ahsoka's perspective. This isn't Maul's show, so we can't take time with that. And I never imagined he was thinking that Maul could have a show. So later when it was like, oh, it's Maul's show, then it's like, okay, now we're looking for those ideas of things you could only do in a Maul show. And we will be learning more about who he is and what's messing with him. And, you know. We don't change the idea that this is a bad guy, but it is in fact a show about bad guys versus worse guys. And there's a difference between him and, you got Palpatine and Vader, which Palpatine's like 10 out of 10 when it comes to villainy. Vader's like 9.8 out of 10, unless you happen to be his son. And then you have Maul, who's more like an 8.5. The Sith would look at Maul and say, this guy has a lot of flaws. The Jedi would look at those same flaws and be like, that is the only redeeming thing about you. Go with that, you know. So Maul, there are certain things that he's learned in the shows that we saw through the Clone Wars that he has now, it kind of changed his perspective on a few things. But he is still a very dangerous individual. Was that?
Did you say any of that in Japan? I just want to make sure we're good.
Oh, I said that stuff in Japan before it was true.
Okay.
No, what's funny is,
Make it happen.
I'll leave you with this. The funny thing is that we have a very collaborative relationship on that show, and they are so wonderfully open, and I have been pulled into that process, the process of making the show, deeper than I ever have before, where we sit down and talk about scripts, we sit down and talk about animation, we sit down and talk about story and all that stuff. And there were things that I felt like, I think we need to hit these beats. I think there are certain things we need to give a certain subtext, yada, yada, yada. I had a whole bunch of pitches. So then I go to Japan and I talk about what I just talked about with you guys. And then I went to Athena and I'm like, yeah, so I really blew it because I just talked about a bunch of stuff that's not on the show. And she's like, just give it a second. And then I come back and within a month, those things started appearing in episodes because they were working on them. And they were like, no, have faith.
It's what you wanted.
It is what you wanted. So now I feel nervous in a different way because I'm like, well, if people don't like it, I am every bit as responsible as anyone. It's my fault as much as it's anyone's fault. Yeah, but Brad and Matt, Athena, the whole team, Joel Aaron, Stuart Lee, and the end directors, I really like the show. And I say that having seen, I mean, all of them through various iterations, but I've also seen finished episodes where I'm like, I like this show. This is a cool show. Very different show than we've done.